And that makes it hard to root for him as like a media member. It makes it hard to root for him as a fan. It makes it hard to root for him.
Yeah.
So with that being said, the fact that he hit the game-winning shot on the night that his charges got dropped is
Uh,
just it's ridiculous. It's just
yeah.
ridiculous.
No, it is. And like we said, obviously we're not here to kind of debate whether or not he was guilty. That's obviously for the justice system to determine. But all things obviously do point to something happening in that Terence Davis situation. We will try our best to focus on the basketball portion of Terence Davis for the rest of the season. But again, even just legal troubles aside, Terence has been one of the Raptors who's probably consistently struggled the most this year, who looked extremely promising last season, hitting, I think 40% clip from three, explosive off the dribble, defensively aware, and then this year it's almost all fell apart. Hopefully, a 40% clip from three, he can kind of turn it around. One thing I wanted to get into, also, just one more player, Oren, was Aaron Baines. Aaron Baines, I feel like we're just flip flopping on this guy at this point. He just kind of looked out of place in this game. He's, I always call him one of the better screeners in the league. But Oren, what's the point of being a so-called, good screener if 70% of your screens are illegal at this point? I mean, he has zero, lift or athleticism. Explosive finishing ability near the rim has really been it's been meh. Do you think Aaron Baines, explosive Raptors have near the rim and really, lowering his minutes? How do you think he played? I mean, a lot of Raptors really just didn't play well in this one. What do you think about Aaron Baines specifically, how he looked on the court?
Yeah, well, I thought it was pretty interesting that Nurse leaned on Baines just as much as
Yeah,
he leaned on Boucher. Neither had a good game.
no.
That's the truth. And give credit to Minnesota for that. They move the ball really well and they punch gaps and get to open space really well. And I think the centers just had trouble with that defending in space, and they also had trouble defending Carl Anthony Towns, which I think is why Boucher kind of hardly saw any floor time in the end of the game.
Hey guys,
He could
and
not
welcome
hang
to
at
the
all with Cat down one
there.
way or the other. But Baines did a bit better job of it defensively, but offensively he was giving the Raptors literally 0 points, I think. So that was he had a bad game. I think it's fine. I think it's gonna be fine if he's in this backup specialty role. I think he'll be fine. I think overall though, on top of just Baines, the Raptors bench as a whole was what almost lost them this game. It showed the lack of depth that this team has because
Yeah.
without OG and Kyle in the lineup, this team is not at all deep. And in past years, we have been,
No.
and we would win this game easily in past years. Guys would just step up, but now our bench is just so thin that I thought Stanley Johnson was the one guy. Davis did hit some shots. He made some defensive mistakes. That's basically what he's done every game this season. Stanley Johnson came in, defended Cat credibly, switched everything, did a good job with his hands down low, getting a couple of steals, getting out on the break. I thought he was nice for his kind of return to the lineup.
No, for sure. Oren, it's my time to shine. It's actually your time to shine. This is my favorite segment. I love doing this. You know what it is, Oren. You're the GM of the lowly Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay? Minnesota Timberwolves, for the better part of a decade, maybe even a little longer, have been consistently one of the worst teams in basketball, not drafting well, not able to really put a good product on the floor, haven't really surrounded Karl Anthony Towns with much in his career being there. He's still obviously re-signed there. I mean, everybody really, Oren, re-signs after their rookie deal. Karl Anthony Towns does look frustrated. I mean, just watching him walk off the court today, he just looked like he was absolutely gone. But, Oren, they do have Anthony Edwards. D'Angelo Russell is injured. I mean, they have some promising long, wing prospects in Vanderbilt, in McDaniels. Are the Timberwolves finally building something? I need to hear your kind of take on how your team is doing.
Nah, not really. I mean, they're in the very early processes
Yeah.
or stages of building things. They owe their pick this year to the Golden State Warriors
Whew.
because of the Andrew Wiggins trade. If it falls three or worse. So if it's top three. So okay, this
So
year
they
what
owe
they
it.
need.
So they owe it. Or I'm just gonna cut you off. So they owe it to the Warriors. Like we're just
No,
gonna stop it
but
right
if
there.
it's 1 to 3, they get it.
Oh, they get it if it's 1 to 3. Okay, so they're
Exactly.
basically get it.
So, but the lottery odds are so weird this year that
Yeah.
even if you're the last place team, I think you have like a 15% chance at getting the number one pick. So they need to lose a lot of games. They need to really, really cross their fingers that they can get a guy like Cade Cunningham or Evan Mobley because like those would both fit really well on this team. And then they got something because I feel like they're one piece away from kind of like especially a superstar like that potentially from kind of having everyone else shift down a little role and it could be good, especially like defensively. I don't see how this team gets good going forward. Janie McDaniels is nice defensively, Vanderbilt's nice defensively, but Edwards, Cat, and D'Angelo Russell is not a good core for your defensive ceiling. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see going forward how the Edwards pick ages. I think LaMelo was there, so just saying, I like Edwards. He's a
I love
wing.
them.
Yeah, he's really fun. I mean, LaMelo is even way more fun, but
Yeah.
he's fun. He's a self creator, which is super important in this league. He's a big guy. Um, so I think he's gonna be good, but it's just I think LaMelo has star potential.
Yeah. Uh, you know what, Oren? I kind of disagree with you. I honestly think that LaMelo. I don't disagree with the LaMelo part. I think LaMelo has perennial All Star potential. I mean, when I watch LaMelo, I'm thinking like this guy has to be at the minimum a 5-time All Star in his career, and then who knows where he's going to go from there. But I watch Anthony Edwards, man, and even before this dunk, I would sometimes just tune into the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't know. I like pain, whatever you call it, masochist. I enjoy pain, so I like watching the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards, they've kind of been releasing kind of the shackles from him as games have been going along. I feel like early on in the season, I was kind of frustrated with that team because they weren't really allowing Anthony Edwards to be himself. Offensively, at least, they weren't really running sets for him. It was kind of like, okay, Anthony, take it at the top of the key or on the elbow, take a screen and just do whatever you can type thing. But I see a lot in Anthony Edwards. I see a player who I think has a ceiling to become an elite 3-level scorer. If his three can eventually drop, I mean, I don't even know if it has to drop because he has the type of athleticism. You know, I don't want to do any crazy comparisons or anything like that, but I mean, I see a little bit of D Wade to his game and how smooth he is offensively. Obviously, D Wade, a young D Wade, was an incredible finisher at the rim. But I mean, for Anthony Edwards' ceiling, at least, I see a player that can absolutely take off. Can you do it in a Minnesota Timberwolves jersey? I don't know, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns has been a great player in the Minnesota Timberwolves jersey. He does have his flaws. He's not that great defensively, but he's been good. Anthony Edwards, I think, can be kind of his second fiddle. You mentioned if they get a top 3 pick, it goes to Minnesota. I just wanted to quickly ask you, if they draft Cade Cunningham, do you pair him with D'Angelo Russell or do you flip D'Angelo Russell kind of out of there and let Cade kind of run the show with Anthony Edwards at the 2 and then obviously Malik Beasley at the 3?
Yeah, people have been saying that the Timberwolves have been better this year without D'Angelo Russell, which I guess isn't all that surprising. He's an offensive or a defensive liability who's taking shots away from Cat, Beasley, and Edwards. So I kind of see it in that way. I think if you get Cade, yeah, I think long term, D'Angelo. I mean, he could thrive off the bench, and they have so much money committed to him that he'd be really hard to trade. So that's probably more likely, especially if you have Edwards and a guy like Cunningham on rookie deals. You can like be okay with him riding your bench.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the answer. But those guys would like people say like maybe it would be like what Cade and Anthony Edwards. I don't know, but like
He
as
is
many
so
wings.
good.
My
Oren,
philosophy is as many wings as you can get, you get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say because Cade is so good. Cade, I watched that guy's game, and I've been following him for quite a while. He's been like the talk of NBA kind of college Twitter for the better part of a year. I mean, he's incredible. He's an incredible prospect, almost guaranteed to go number one if everything stays the same. Oren, I wanted to get into one cool thing at the end of this game. Fred had a really interesting quote. Fred VanVleet. I believe he was asked by, could have been Josh Lewenberg. I'm not 100% sure. But he was asked what he learned about himself during the Raptors' slow start. And he said, quote unquote, I thought I had my temper and my anger problems under control. And I'm realizing that I don't. The losing has brought back that little fiery kid that I used to be. Fred obviously is kind of alluding to that fact that the Toronto Raptors are leading the league by 1,000 in team technical fouls. I believe Fred also had a tech today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Is this becoming an issue, Oren, or is it just eh?
No, I don't think the technical fouls are becoming an issue. I think like Fred VanVleet maybe learning to be a little bit less like I don't know.
Bad
Like
calls, Oren. There were some bad calls.
yeah, it felt like there was some missed calls and it felt
Yeah.
like he just kept going back and back and back into the paint to get one because he thought, okay, they missed it last time, they'll definitely call it this time. But you have to do something different. You have to exaggerate the contact. You have to like have little tricks in your bag so that you can get big men in trouble. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over, missing layups in the paint. Like, so no disrespect to Fred, but it wasn't a good game from him, and he
No.
kept doing the exact same thing, and it was frustrating to watch him not get the foul calls. Maybe he deserved more, but it was frustrating a little bit. But yeah, that's a good quote.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, Fred's being honest.
Yeah.
We didn't really know. I mean, Fred came to the Raptors kind of as a really reserved kid, didn't really talk much. But I guess, the better he got, the more times he started going to the foul line, the more times he started getting fouled. Obviously, you're in the referee's ear a little more. I wanted to get to a kind of topic that's been floating around Raptors Twitter a lot, Oren. You've probably heard it yourself. It's people talking about how Kyle Lowry not being there for the Raptors, how the Raptors have kind of succeeded without him. People are kind of going over the bridge a little bit and saying, hey, man, maybe we don't really need Kyle. Maybe this is the time to flip him. I think the stat was like the Raptors are 17-0, if I'm not mistaken, without Kyle Lowry in there or something like that, something along those lines. And the offensive rating and defensive rating is really good as well. Oren, this sounds kind of crazy, but do the Raptors need Kyle Lowry?
Like, yes, in terms of their ceiling, they do.
Yeah.
In terms of like a playoff ceiling, that's the thing about Kyle is, I mean, he's a superstar, so he's a floor raiser and a ceiling raiser. Like, could the Raptors be a playoff team without Kyle Lowry if they built the system from the beginning of the season without him? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a wealth of guards. Fred can run the point, they probably could. But when we talk about the ceiling of the team, Kyle absolutely for both sides of the floor. He needs to be there. I mean, you watch this team in the playoffs against Boston. You watch them in tight games throughout the last few seasons. When the Raptors need a bucket, whether it's the other team's on a run and it's getting away from them, the Raptors just need a bucket. More often than not, it's Kyle. That's just how I would describe.
Yeah.
He's the guy, and he sets the culture too. So even if he's not playing, I also think people need to remember he's still the culture setter. He's still the guy who's like everything runs through him on this team. He's the leader of the team. So yeah, honestly,
Oren, he's the guy. He's the engine. He's the heart.
Yeah, and people keep assuming that he's gonna be gone. People will be like, "Why wouldn't you trade him when he's a free agent and he's just gonna leave for a contender?" Like, you don't know Kyle Lowry personally. Maybe this guy just wants to stay in Toronto where he's comfortable. He's won a chip with us. Maybe he thinks maybe we can do it again, and he just wants to maybe re-sign, stay with the club that he's comfortable and has love for him, and kind of keep building up, developing these players that he has relationships with. We don't know.
100%. Speaking of Kyle, we obviously want to wish him a healthy recovery. And that's where we're gonna close it off for tonight. This was a good post game show, Oren, for a game that was dull as hell. That probably had one great highlight in the whole game, the Anthony Edwards dunk. But that's it for us tonight. This was your Raptors Republic post game live show where your Toronto Raptors came up with a big dub versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, 86-81. I am your co-host Sahal Abdi again here with Oren Weisfeld. This was the wrap up. Thank you guys for staying with us.
Yeah, and real quick, we're gonna get into trade talk in the coming games because is it over?
You can just keep going.
Okay, we're gonna get into trade talk because like when you look at the schedule, we have like I think 6 games left, and then there's the break, and that break is really when the trade talk starts to pick up, and we're not gonna be having games to do these shows. So I think because people are always asking trade questions, I just wanted to let them know that we will be getting into more trade talk in the next few episodes. And yeah, also give this video a like. We're trying to get to 100 likes, so YouTube will recommend us. So give us likes and subscribe.
Give us a like, give a comment, guys, please. Even if for constructive criticism, we'll take anything. Again, guys, this was the wrap up. Me and Oren loved having you guys here. We'll see you again Sunday versus Philadelphia.